You're listening to the Ugly Truth Podcast with George and Christina Markoski, your weekly injection of science, insights, and myth-busting. For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.blog.
Hello,
Hi
welcome
guys.
back.
Welcome back to The Ugly Truth.
Okay, today we've got some interesting news.
Very exciting news, actually.
So, little Adelaide, this is our hometown, this is where we podcast from. We've actually got Elon Musk just came to town on Friday, actually.
So, Elon Musk was in South Australia.
Yep. I missed him, I was in Melbourne, I just flew back that afternoon.
Oh.
Bit of a shame. I'm a big fan of Elon. The guy is brilliant. I mean,
He's a genius.
what Elon Musk has done for the world, I suppose, is pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
I mean, he started off with, he did PayPal, and I don't know if that's a lot for the world, help you buy stuff on eBay a lot easier, right?
Safely as well.
Yes, however, what he did with Tesla and how he sort of changed everything with when it comes to electric cars. He had a big vision, he almost went broke. Apparently,
amazing.
After 2008, what happened was he got bailed out by the government.
Yeah, I know.
And he was the only company that actually paid back the American people, paid
And
back
the
interest and bonus on top of that, where Ford and Holden didn't do that.
No.
Now, Tesla recently actually on the stock market is now worth more than Ford.
Amazing.
And now Ford is the oldest motor company in the world. I mean, starting from Henry Ford back in the early 1900s, so it's been around for 100 years. It's amazing that a new company can come in and become massive and bigger than Ford that quickly.
I think when you're an innovator and you're constantly improving concepts, of course, you know, if you're constantly changing with the way the times are going, your concept's going to be far better than an old concept because...
But you'd think there's such a big company with so much capital, if they just moved into the electric market, but
they're not willing to do that, so...
Well, they are now. I mean, everyone now.
Because they have to.
What's happened is Tesla now have proved that it works with electric cars.
It can be done.
And now everyone's jumping the bandwagon. There's a lot of companies actually doing it cheaper than Tesla, which is exciting because that innovation is going to change a lot of things.
Well, it's good news for the environment as well, let's face it.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, it depends on... See, the thing is, if you use coal to produce energy and then send that through to charge up a car, you're still creating a problem with the environment. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes, you're not creating... It's not a combustion engine, right? Which is good.
All this pollution as well.
Exactly. So what needs to happen? Not only do we need electric cars, but we need renewable energy to supply everything, to make it actually really work.
More viable, right.
That's the way it's going to work. Now, Elon Musk has done a lot of inroads on battery technology. Got the biggest battery company in the world now, the Gigafactory. And also he's done a lot of inroads with electric cars. And in America, there's a lot of places you can fill it up. I mean, here in Adelaide, we really, if you had an electric car, where would you charge it at? At home, maybe.
There's nowhere, yeah.
They have got an incentive now, the council in Adelaide, to create charging stations in the city, which is great. But and the next part is renewable energy, and that's growing. I mean, the efficiency of renewable energy is exciting. That is the future.
Yeah.
You know, which is great because I think we've got the sun out there and it's produced and it creates so much energy. And if we just captured less than 1% of it, it would fix the needs for everyone.
We need to utilise that. I agree.
And I think we're getting closer. I mean, we've got solar panels on our roof.
Mm-hmm, we do.
But the challenge is, we live in South Australia, and in Adelaide, South Australia, we've got the highest energy prices in the world when it comes to electricity, right? And this all sort of came by because we privatised our electricity to make it more efficient, and unfortunately...
It made it less efficient.
Well, the problem is it's a monopoly, and if you privatise a monopoly, how is that going to make it more efficient? There's no incentive.
It's not.
Right? Well,
It's
they've
all
got a guaranteed income.
Yeah, it's profit driven.
And they're not really, there's no, because what happened was years ago we had only one telephone company, Telstra. And then what we did is they opened the market up and we got Optus in, and what happened was because there was competition, it really reduced price for everyone.
Which was good.
Every year, prices on
got lower.
Phones get cheaper constantly, where they were going the other way before. So I think a monopoly is not the way to go.
No.
But unfortunately, with power, power originally sort of has got a central system where they spread it out to everyone else. Now that model is going to die. The fact of it is, pretty soon, next year or two, I reckon, batteries are going to be the right price. We're looking at getting batteries next year or two, because then we're going to be totally sufficient. We've got solar panels on the roof. We get a battery. We don't have to bother with getting power anywhere. Now, so if you look at what's happened with mobile phones in places like Africa and Southeast Asia have come in, and they haven't had the money to build the infrastructure, but you don't need that with mobile phones. So there's more people with mobile phones than landlines in Africa because they're cheaper and easier to access.
Yeah.
And mobile phones have made a huge difference to commerce and business. Like, for example, they've averaged out the prices for lots of stuff. So there was some village, like let's say there's a village, a fishing village. There's several of them, right? And they go out and get fish. Well, with mobile phones, you can tell what price certain fish are selling for, and if there's a demand, so you know where to take them and sell them instead of staying there and wasting them. So it reduces wastage by sharing information.
Absolutely.
So mobile
and
phones
it's
have
easier, to communicate.
They've democratised a lot of stuff. They've made it better. Now, going to the 21st century, what's going to happen in those places, there's no point spending all this infrastructure building big coal plants and making electricity. Local electricity is the way to go. Solar panels, battery, done. No infrastructure, a lot cheaper, and you control your energy, which is great. So what's happening with solar power and batteries, that's going to democratise energy, because we were at the mercy of big companies for so long. And finally, now, we can actually get free of that. And I look forward to it. I mean...
We can fend for ourselves to not have to rely on the big companies anymore.
even if the price is not quite there, because I think at the moment in Adelaide, and we've got the most expensive price in the world. So if you buy a battery now, a Tesla battery, it's going to take you about 9 to 10 years to pay it off with the savings you've got.
Right.
And batteries only last about that long. So
by the time you've paid it off,
yes,
you will have just broken even, basically.
However, and you've got to put a big capital expense at first, because you've got to pay for the thing.
Right.
However, the good part about it is it does give you freedom. And actually, I've convinced myself I'm going to buy a battery.
Cool.
There you go. I'm going to buy one too, because what's happened is Elon Musk's come down. There are 90 different proposals to our government, because what happened was our price is the most expensive in the world now. Also, our peak power is like 14,000 times what it is at the lowest point.
Our peak power?
Yeah, peak power, not pig power. Right? So we've got 3 or 4 retailers.
And not only that, all the blackouts we were having, right?
Yes.
So we were having a blackout probably like once every 2 months.
Look,
it was getting more frequent.
We had 2 or 3 blackouts during the year. It was quite embarrassing for the government.
And when we're talking blackout, we're not just talking for a couple of hours here. Like, we're talking a whole state without power.
Look, I remember we had the blackout.
For like over 8 hours.
Look, what I liked about the blackout is there was no telephones, no social media, no electricity. And it was quite an enjoyable evening, don't you reckon? We got the candles
actually
out.
kind of scary.
We got to have a bath, then we got to play some board games with candles. It was a bit of fun. The thing is, lucky we got a gas stove.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we had electric stove, we wouldn't be able to even cook.
But what was even scarier was the next day going to the supermarket, and literally it was only such a small time frame that we didn't have power, but half the shopping centre didn't have food. Like, the shelves were empty because they needed the refrigeration for those items.
Yes,
so all those items went off and they had to throw them out. So literally, only over the space of 8 hours, half the food supply in the shop was gone.
A lot of soup, yes, a lot. So this thing about it was, like, when you look at movies like, look at that series, The Walking Dead, right? And apocalypse happens, and then you got no food. And you look at it, and they've had no food for a long time there. But 8 hours doesn't take long.
That's nothing.
If you disrupted the oil supply to Australia, or the coal supply, and you couldn't create electricity or transport, things would go down pretty quick. Like, we don't have a lot of supply that's local, you know what I mean? Because I think we really got to get back into local food production, local electricity production, local everything, because that gives you more security, and it's also better. Because organic food that's locally sourced is going to be a lot better for you and a lot better for the environment than buying organic food from Argentina coming to Australia.
Well, obviously, we're so dependent on supermarkets to provide us with food that we wouldn't know how to cope without them.
Yes.
So I think that could create a bit of chaos.
It could. And, like, there's a lot of people in America, the survivalists, who've got massive cellars full of food and stuff like that. And, I reckon, we've got a lot of stuff in our cellar.
We do, yeah.
Because I like buying things in bulk. Just me. So, got a lot of stuff there.
So why did Elon Musk come to Adelaide?
Yeah, okay, so look, Elon Musk, let's quickly finish this conversation with Elon Musk and then talk about it. So his overarching goal, he's created Tesla, he's tried to help the world become a better place.
He's done the reusable rockets now.
Yeah, but before that, he's done a new roof made out of solar panels, which is cheaper than a roof, and it'll supply your house for energy. So if we have solar panelled roofs and batteries and electric cars, that's going to make a massive difference to what we're going to do in the world. And we really need it at the moment because there's a lot of people sceptical about global warming, right? And some people say yes or no. I'm not going to get into that during this episode, right? Because everyone's got their own opinion and people are very fiery about it. Regardless of global warming, let's put that aside. We still need to reduce pollution in a massive amount.
And we still need to take care of the planet.
Even if you don't believe in global warming, we need to stop this pollution. But also, we need renewable energy because we need to stop burning fossil fuels. We need a
sustainable solution.
That's going to be good for the environment. I mean, there's too much toxins out there as it is, and we need a better, cleaner planet for everyone.
The air is toxic.
We've got 7 billion people on this planet, and we need to really have a lot better way of doing this.
Especially like overseas in third world countries, like the air there, you cannot go outside and breathe.
When we were in Hanoi for our honeymoon, that rhymes, Hanoi for a honeymoon. We were in Hanoi for a honeymoon, we couldn't see the sun, and I thought it because it was humid there.
We thought maybe it's just foggy, but it was the pollution.
The pollution was so bad that actually opened the window, because normally the air inside is a lot worse than the air outside, no matter what's happening. But the pollution was so bad there that the warning was saying don't go outside. And it actually made me feel sick. And opening the window was worse than closing the window. So that's not good. And the thing is, as countries industrialise on a very massive scale, that's what's happening. And with entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, we're going to be able to change that because we don't need to build the infrastructure like we used to with electricity and telephone wires, which is a lot of stuff. We're going to have stuff that's decentralised. And by moving into the 21st century through decentralisation, we're making a step and jumping past that little hurdle to something a bit more sustainable. Because let's face it, the further away your energy is from where you are, the more electricity you waste. By the time it gets here from Pelican Point or wherever it is, it's a long way. And it creates heat in the wires. But if you produce it on your roof, then it's a lot better.
It's right there.
Now, the thing is, there's other things about producing electricity and solar power that you've got to be careful of. So depending on your inverter, you can cause dirty electricity, so you've got to be careful. So what we've done, we've put ours on top of the shed. But we've got little converters in each one, because if you have one big converter, there's electromagnetic radiation coming out, and you don't really want that on top of your roof and top of your house.
Yeah.
So you've got to have considerations there as well, because you don't want to save the environment but kill yourself at the same time. It's not good. No. So electromagnetic fields, I want to talk about this. I've actually got a meter, and there's only a certain amount you can have in each house. So whenever I buy a house... Is this to measure radiation? Yes. So it's this measures magnetic radiation, electromagnetic radiation. There's different thing that measures actual radiation, right? Because that's important too, because there's a lot of natural radiation in the ground that comes up. Yeah. And you don't want that around the place either. I'm going to do a whole episode on radiation. I think it's important. It's great. But Elon Musk, so then he created the reusable rocket. I can't even say it. That's how cool it is, right? And what an idea.
I love that concept.
I mean, what did he say? He said, look, when you go on a plane, you don't fly from London to New York and then throw the plane away.
No, that would just be so wasteful.
But all the space agencies, NASA, Russia, all those people, what they were doing was using a rocket and then throwing it out. And then Elon Musk had this dream of reusing the rocket. Now, Jeff Bezos from Amazon also did this with his rocket company. Looks like a lot of entrepreneurs in America love getting their own rocket company. You got Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, you got Elon Musk. These guys are really cool. I love it. I think as a kid, they probably all thought how cool it would be to be an astronaut
in
a rocket.
Go to space, yeah.
So I see Elon Musk as the Iron Man, the real day version of the Iron Man.
Yeah, yep. I agree.
Yeah. So he wants to colonise Mars with 1 million people, which is the overarching goal. Now he's created something else called the neural lace. He hasn't created it, but he's looking at doing it, where you're going to put this neural lace in your head, communicate directly with the internet.
And that will make us a bit of a cyborg, won't it?
We already are cyborgs anyway.
But more so.
But more. Well, we're becoming more and more cyborgs. I mean, really, you wear contact lenses. That's cyborg.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And
It also gives me X-ray vision, so
Yes.
I'm a cyborg.
pretty cool. Excellent.
Not really.
Fantastic. That's pretty good. My iPad's died inside my notes, so I'm going to have to go on the fly here, but it doesn't matter. And now, suddenly, Elon Musk, this really cool person we've heard about, comes to Adelaide. And what happened was, it was over Twitter. So it's amazing how technology is changing things.
Wasn't it when he found out about all of our power failures?
He found out about our power failures and
make a solution?
He said he'd have a solution and create it in 3 months or your money back.
That's pretty awesome. I love that money back guarantee.
Look, he's an entrepreneur. He flew to Adelaide, did a conference, closed the deal, and went back. And now he's building the biggest battery in the world, battery storage facility in the world.
How big is the battery?
I think it's my notes are on there and it's dead. it's
Insert size here.
That's right. Insert slides here. There was a big one in Ontario.
Torrens Island?
No. In California.
Oh, okay.
No, not California, in Canada. And now they've got one, they're building here, the biggest one. What it's going to do, basically, it's going to be able to power 30,000 homes for 8 hours.
But it's going to be like how computers used to be massive. And then as technology gets better, it'll probably shrink, won't it? And become more powerful.
Not quite.
No?
No. Because we're talking about battery storage, it's not quite like that. But one of the things, they were thinking about using actually hydro storage instead.
Right.
Right? So what happens is you've got excess electricity, you use the energy to push water uphill and store it, and then you can push it through a turbine to create electricity when you need it. So it's a mechanical way of
And because
storing
it's
it.
water, it's
always
low
there.
cost.
It's low cost, yes. But there's inefficiencies because you've got to push the water up and you lose a certain amount of pushing it down. So then you've got the battery. So the battery is more efficient than a hydro system. However, it's more expensive to build.
Right.
So it's one of those balances. Now, battery.
So how expensive is it to build? Wasn't it 40 million?
Well, they're looking at the government's looking at spending 550 million.
Oh, 550 million.
Not just in storage, but to fix Adelaide, South Australia's energy crisis.
Wow.
Right? And look, we've got the highest renewables in Australia, but the highest price as well. Which
does that mean our taxes are going to go up?
look,
Thanks, Elon.
I don't want to get involved in politics, but look, at the end of the day, you know, our government may not have done everything exactly the way it should have, but they're not experts in who's the expert in doing what. But I feel like we really need a good think tank to solve problems on a large scale, and we need to get the right people. It's great having politicians there, great, you know what I mean, elected by the people, but really need people that are really good at what they do in part of the think tank to solve challenges in today's society. That's the way it needs to go. And that's the challenge, because you've got people there that aren't an expert on something, try to solve it. You know, like you got Trump solving global warming, right? So, well, he doesn't believe in global warming, and that's fair enough, but if you know what I'm saying. So it's not about a personality, I think it's about someone's skill level of what you need. Now, is our government skilled at solving the energy crisis? Probably not. That's why they've got Elon Musk come down here to solve the problem. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Look, I think that if it doesn't work here, it's not going to work anywhere, because we're the most expensive energy prices in the world.
So are we sort of like the guinea pigs that they're testing it out on?
They've done it one other place and apparently worked there.
Well, if it worked there, then why won't it work here?
Because we've got so many renewables, we use a lot of wind and we use some solar, right? Mainly wind. And what happens is sometimes it's not windy, so you can't produce electricity on demand.
Right.
And now we used to produce a lot of electricity of coal, and a lot of people said we should have kept that coal to produce electricity. But a coal power plant is like a big kettle. It takes time to warm up and get it started. You can't just switch it on and make electricity. You've got to warm the kettle up and get that energy out there. So we're really using steam, like they did in the old days of steam engine, just a different way of heating it up. So the original steam engine and the original energy from the Industrial Revolution is still here. But what's happened is they used to use steam power to move things around, but now what we're using is steam power to create electricity and store it.
Okay. Wouldn't that have been better for the environment? Less pollution?
What, steam?
Yeah.
No, because to create steam you need to heat up something, coal or wood or something, and oil.
Okay, yeah.
And now what we're doing is heating up the same thing, but turning that steam into electricity. A lot easier. because you can't send steam very far before it cools down. But if you convert it to electricity, it goes a long way. So it's much more efficient, much better.
So where is this battery factory going to be?
It's going to be near the wind farm, which makes a lot of sense.
Whereabouts? Like, what's the actual location?
We've got a massive wind farm
In South Australia?
In South Australia. And what's going to happen is right next to the wind farm, we're picking up a big battery thing. So what's going to happen is they create the wind.
Is it going to be an actual factory that they're creating there?
No, they're creating a storage facility.
So it'll be like a big building, basically.
It's going to be little mini batteries in little packs arrayed around the place.
Like the wind pinwheel things?
No.
They're going to be individually scattered everywhere?
No, they're going to be scattered in one area. Because what they do is they put certain groups together and then.
Because I'm just trying to get like a visual picture of how this is actually going to look.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is they're going to put a certain amount of batteries in one clump and then a little bit further on, they put another clump and they join them all together so they can manage them all.
How are they going to be protected from the elements?
They're going to be inside some sort of facility, but I don't think they're going to be inside, they're going to be outside because you don't need to put them inside.
Okay, so because originally I would have pictured like a big sort of building.
No, you don't need a big building. It's a waste of time. You could just...
have actual batteries there.
Yeah, have the batteries and just protect them individually instead of having a big space around them.
On the ground, like next to grass.
Something like that, yes.
Okay,
it might be on top of cement.
Is this going to be like a tourist attraction?
Look,
Go and see Elon's batteries in the outback.
Come and see Elon's batteries.
Drive by the battery.
Well, the wind farm's not a tourist attraction, so I don't think so.
No, it's not.
So with wind, because it's not constant, and what happens is when you've got a high demand of power but a low supply, it creates prices that go up. Right? So our prices are like this at the moment.
So does that mean our power prices are going to go up?
No. What's going to happen? Because we've got batteries, that's going to stabilise prices.
So they're just going to stay the same?
So it's going to stabilise them. So we're not going to have the peaks and the troughs anymore.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be more constant, which is good. Because consistent pricing is better for industry, better for people, better for everyone. Because it's good to know what is it going to cost you instead of not knowing and going up and down.
Yeah.
So having a
bill shock, is it going to eliminate bill shock?
Look, considering it the most expensive price in the world, maybe not. I'm hoping it's going to reduce prices unless they game the system somehow and stop from happening. So there's massive spikes we normally have. They're not going to be able to do that anymore because you're going to just get it out of the battery cheaper.
Yeah.
So the battery is almost like another competitor in the market because it's holding the price. So what's going to happen is, let's say we've got an excess of power, then power is cheaper. When it's cheaper, we fill the battery up. Then when it's expensive, you empty the battery out and balance the price out. So as you empty the battery, you're reducing the price because you're increasing supply and demand.
Yeah, but who chooses when the battery gets filled and emptied?
Look, I don't know, but what we need to do is we need to keep it full.
Yeah.
Because the key is that battery will be able to supply 30,000 houses and stop a big blackout from happening like last time. So we've had 2 or 3 or 4 maybe in the state and people have not been happy. Now, I understand because it's not good for industry because you can't expect business to go, let's go to South Australia, we're going to pay heaps of money because there was a recycling depot here for plastics. And what happened was their power bill was $80,000 a month and it went up to about $180,000 had to close down. Now, the thing is, we need to be able to recycle things and we can't have industry coming here and getting gouged when it comes to electricity prices because other states are cheaper and better, so people are going to move over there.
Yeah.
And as you lose industry, you're losing jobs and the economy goes bad, so having high power prices is very bad for the economy.
Totally.
Not good at all. And to really create a good economy, we need to reduce that.
Well, hopefully this will be a step in the right direction then.
Well, you look at America, they've got the cheapest fuel prices, one of the cheapest in the world, because the government makes sure they've got that to keep everyone competitive, because transport's very important and things like that. So having the right prices here in South Australia will make a big difference to the economy. So having someone like Elon Musk, who's a big brand, he's massive, he's pretty exciting. I think having someone like him helping us here in South Australia, I think is going to put Adelaide on the map. And also we've got an opportunity to show the world that batteries do work.
Yeah.
And if we can balance it out and fix this challenge, it's going to be good. I think the government has been desperate to do something because they keep stuffing up and they're like, shit, we better do something, otherwise Elon, please save us, right? So I think there's a lot of motivation there to get this fixed. I can see why, and I'm hoping that we fix it.
Do you think, like, obviously social media's had a lot to do with this all happening?
Well, I think if Twitter wasn't around and social media wasn't around, this wouldn't have happened. How would Elon Musk know what we're saying and comment and start a dialogue? Because what happened was, I think Elon Musk and the government started a dialogue over Twitter and started having a bit of a chat.
But also, I guess a lot of social pressure from everyone who's on those platforms commenting as well.
Yes.
Would have sort of steered the decision making.
I think social media's got a much bigger role to play these days, and I think it's good because I think social media does give more power to the people.
I agree.
Which is
it's giving power back to the people.
Yeah, look, it's democratising things, isn't it? Because I mean, we've had that traditional system of, you know, you've got two parties that are almost identical, you vote one in, and then you don't know what the hell they're doing behind closed doors, and now they're becoming a bit more accountable. So as you get more transparency and accountability, the better it becomes, and people can voice their opinion, and if it's a good opinion, people listen to you and do it.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I feel that social media is giving people a lot more power, a lot bigger voice, because people haven't had a big voice, and I think it's very exciting for the future. Because really, at the end of the day, us as South Australians, we're the ones that are paying the government. They should be really doing what we want them to do.
So what are the next steps, I guess, when it comes to this battery and what's going to happen now?
Well, there's been a deal done between a French renewables company, Tesla, and the government. Okay. They've done a deal, and he's said, we'll have it here in 100 days, or your money back.
So he's got a deadline?
So he's got a deadline. That's a very fast deadline.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, with governments,
everything's
in our government,
snail pace.
Everything's so slow. So if they build that in 100 days, I'll be impressed.
Pretty awesome.
And a lot of people are complaining that it's too expensive and everything else like that. I think that because we've got the highest price in the world, there's no better place than doing it here. Also, our government is committed to doing more renewables. And if you're going to do renewables, you need a battery, because think about it, people are at work during the day, then at night time they come home, and there's a lot of power usage. And solar doesn't work at night. And
that's a good point.
Wind's inconsistent. You don't know when it's going to work, when it's not going to work. See, if you average it out over the year, it's very, very good, but not in short periods. So by having a battery, you can just buffer all that and really make it work a lot better.
Okay, great. So in 100 days, we're going to have these batteries up and running.
In 100 days, we're going to have batteries running. We're going to say high five, Elon.
How does that then, I guess, get passed down to the people? What happens then? Like, how do we get access to this energy supply?
Yes, interesting question. What's going to happen is you've got the wholesaler and the retailers, right? Now, the funny thing is, you've only got one wholesaler, but several retailers, and the retailers don't actually add any value. It's really...
They're like the middlemen.
They're the middlemen, but really to me, it just doesn't make sense. So you've got all these energy companies that don't produce any energy. All they do is buy the energy wholesale and sell it to you. Now, with electricity, it doesn't matter who you go through, you're getting the same electricity. Identical, right? Doesn't matter if you go through, Origin or Altina or someone, it's the same electricity. So all that really matters is how much you're paying per hour.
Yeah.
Right? So but the problem is, because we're going through retailers and they're spending a lot of money on marketing and on ways of getting us customers on board through their system, that you've got to pay for that marketing. Who pays for that? We do. So we're paying for energy companies to do marketing towards us for us to get energy.
I know.
That's just stupid. We should really just buy it from the wholesaler.
But we can't do that.
We can't. We're not allowed to. But that's what we should do, because I don't care what logo you've got on there, what colour company or whatever you do. I don't give a shit. All I want is energy for the lowest price. That's mainly renewable, so we're better for the environment. I
guess it does sort of create more jobs in a way as well.
Yeah, but it's a stupid way. They're not adding anything. So if you're going to create jobs, it's good to create jobs that are actually adding to our community, to the world, to society as a whole. by having an energy company doing some marketing to get people to buy energy off you, I don't think you're doing anything good for the world at all. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right? So yeah, you're creating jobs, but I think that's a wasted endeavour. You've got all these people working this company, and you've got all these people paying money to this company. What for? How's the world becoming a better place? So is it going to be up
to them now to, I guess, pass on this battery power?
I hope not, because then we're in trouble, right? So, what's probably going to happen, I'm not an expert on this, is because you've got energy production and you've got the battery's going to stop the peak demand, right? And the troughs, so therefore the wholesale price is going to go down, which isn't that high anyway, and hopefully that gets passed on to the consumer.
Fingers crossed.
But as we all know, that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. And really, it's such a bureaucratic waste of space and time having these companies there that add no value whatsoever, that I really think we need to rethink the whole thing and think about, hold on a second, if they're not producing any value, let's get rid of them and find a better way of doing it.
Why are we paying for it? Yeah.
Because I really think, you look at companies like Uber, right? So what they're doing is democratising driving, and they're adding value by making it easier for you to find someone to drive you around, right? That's pretty cool. So we need something like that for our energy price in Australia to cut out that middleman and make it a lot simpler. But because,
let's just get an app for it. That's the solution to everything these days.
But because there's only one supplier, then you can only buy from one person anyway. So who cares what flavour energy it is, because it's the same flavour. Like, it's not as energy from one company is going to be better than the other company. There's no difference. Yeah, so we're in a strange place there. And I think something needs to be done, and that's probably part of the big problem there is.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any problems with energy before we were state-owned.
We never had these massive blackouts.
Not that I remember. I don't know. I'm not. But I think at the end of the day, privatisation, it works if you've got competition. But if you privatise something that's a monopoly, then
it does the opposite.
Well, it makes it difficult.
Can push prices up, and
you can do what you like if you've got a monopoly. It's not, look at Australia Post in Australia. What they're doing is the price go up, service goes down consistently.
Ridiculous.
That's because it's a monopoly. You've got no one that can compete with them. So it makes it difficult. You look at telephone companies, there's a lot of competition, the price is going down, and you're getting better service and better everything. And that's what we need to do. So I think if you're going to work in a capitalist society, you need to make sure there's competition there to keep everything competitive.
So yeah, I guess I'm pretty excited about this new battery.
Look, I think it's a good step forward.
It's, in theory, electricity prices should go down.
In theory, they should go down, but not only
the savings should be passed
not only
on.
that, it's going to make it easier to use renewables to create electricity if you've got a battery to store it.
Yeah.
Because renewables are always up and down, and because of that, if you can store it, it's going to make it easier to use for everyone. So I think moving towards renewable energy sources.
That's what we need to do.
And look, this has actually got me excited because I'm going to buy a battery for our house, and I'm moving off the grid
Awesome.
to get it. We're going to create our own electricity from solar, and our carbon footprint's going to go down.
I love that.
It's better for the environment, and I think it's worthwhile, and I think, if South Australia can do it, I can do it. So
awesome work.
there you go. So you convinced me. I convinced myself.
Exciting stuff.
Exciting. So look, that's it for the ugly truth. Our little Adelaide has become a little bit famous because of Elon Musk.
And we've got battery power now. Woo!
Yes, so thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it.
And thank you, Elon.
Elon, thank you. You're a champion. I'd love to interview Elon. It'd be cool. I need to send him a shout out next time he comes to Adelaide. How cool would that be, having Elon Musk in our studio?
That'd be awesome.
I don't think it's going to happen. But anyway, cool.
Put it out there to the universe.
No worries.
Thanks so much, guys.
See you next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
For everyone listening, thank you once again. Stay well and see you next episode.
For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.log.